I'm very curious to know how you would answer this, and we extend this to you, the audience, 888-957-9570. I don't want to do the whole, would you take this quarterback over Brock? Would you take that quarterback over Brock? Kyle Shanahan, I think with what's happened to him over the last handful of weeks, it's brought more to the forefront of our minds how important he is to this team and this offense. So let me ask it to you this way. Would you rather, if you're a football team, would you rather have the combination of Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, or would you rather just have Josh Allen?
Ooh, that's a good question.
How would you answer it?
I'm gonna have to think about that and give it to you on the other side.
Of what?
The other side of the break. No,
the break's coming in 12 minutes.
Then I need to think about it for 12 minutes.
Actually, more like 14 minutes.
I wasn't sure if this was going to be the shorty, but yeah.
I got your breaks. Don't you worry. I got them over you. I got the breaks.
You've been known to run through them on occasion, but you're usually pretty diligent.
I'm not going to just throw a question at you.
Shanahan and Purdy or Allen and what, he has no coordinator?
That was amazing.
Possibly. He has to coordinate on his own.
I love that you tried to turn that into a tease. That was incredible.
Well, I thought that would be coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
great.
It was a bit of an abrupt pivot from...
that's what you're thinking, Div.
From Mike Krukow. All of a sudden, now we're talking about...
JP's coming up. John Miller's coming up. There's going to...
We're squeezing in. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's Josh Allen and whom? Like the...
Doesn't
matter. The replacement level...
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It kind of does matter.
Why?
Because...
Fine, make it Sean McDermott. That's who we've known to be working with Josh Allen.
Well, I don't think that he was the offensive coordinator, but I mean...
No, but he's the head coach.
Right. I guess that it becomes more of the nuanced part of it, but if I'm going to get the 16th best replacement level offensive play caller coordinator, then give me Josh Allen. Give me Josh Allen as opposed to the tandem.
Interesting. That's not what I thought you'd say.
Well, I'm just, I'm not just trying to pander to the president of Brockistan and a guy who is,
I don't need your support.
I'm not.
I got plenty.
I'm not here to give you the support,
and I'm not even actually.
And I'm not here to pander.
Yeah. Well, but that's not it's a fair question.
It's a fair question. I think it's an interesting question, and that's why I said earlier, it's a question. I've never been asked it this way before.
So answering,
not in Charles Davis.
Yeah, but in answering it the other way, I don't think qualifies as pandering.
I don't think it does either, but it just becomes, to me, a part of a bigger question about tandems. Brock Purdy, if he was in, I don't know, Miami, for example, which Miami is an unmitigated mess, in my opinion. They're terrible. They might be the worst team in football this year. If Brock Purdy is there, well, he's probably not going to be as good as he is in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. So Josh Allen in Buffalo with a new coordinator and a new system, I don't know. We're going to have to find out, but we do know what his raw ability is, so I'll take the raw ability.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, first of all, one of your other comments, if you think Miami is the worst team in football, you clearly have not been on social media that much this week to see the montage of what has gone on at Cardinals camp. If you had seen it, you would never think that any team in the history of the NFL is as bad as the Cardinals look this year. You should go search it out, dude. It is very entertaining. Oh, my God. Do you want to talk about a team that doesn't even know how to conduct a practice? Just from me to you, from me to y'all, okay? If you're going to have a fantasy draft over the next 4 weeks, go ahead and don't take Marvin Harrison in any round, ever.
How many Dolphins versus Cardinals will get drafted? Which team gets more guys drafted?
More fantasy guys?
Yes, correct.
Well, the best one, okay. Achane that's an elite running back.
Okay.
Right? That's an elite fantasy running back.
He's elite if you have an offensive line, which theirs is not very good, but he'll still get taken.
Yeah, he's been elite. It's the same offensive line he's been using, and he's running all over everybody for his first few years. The Cardinals drafted Love, so they drafted a very early, the first running back in the draft, but I don't know exactly. They also signed Algier away from Atlanta. He thought he was going to get the gig. Okay. James Conner is coming back. I'd avoid the hell out of the backfield. I don't know who's getting the carries. Who's the quarterback? Who are the receivers?
You're talking about Miami, right?
No, I'm talking about the Cardinals.
Like in Miami, Malik Willis is the quarterback. Okay, who are their receivers?
I would take him over the Cardinals quarterback.
Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael Wilson's an interesting receiver with the Cardinals.
Yep, he had a big year last year on my squad.
Okay, so I like him.
Are you taking Tutu Atwell or Jalen Tolbert, Malik Washington? Like, these are the Miami receivers.
Probably not.
Maybe we can get another side bet because I would bet that the Dolphins have, and it's tough because the Cardinals have. Well, the Cardinals have the AFC West 4 games and then 6 games against the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks. That could be a clean 0-10 right there for Arizona.
Absolutely, it could. Absolutely, it could. All right, before we go back to the phones, it will surprise no one that if I were going to answer that question, I would take Kyle and Brock. But it doesn't really matter. To me, the conversation doesn't lie in the answer. It sort of lies in the details in terms of why you would pick that player. The resume, I would argue there's no doubt that the combo of Shanahan and Purdy has had more success than Josh Allen. Agree?
I think they've had maybe not as many years as Josh Allen, but they've been deeper in the playoffs. Yeah, certainly.
I mean, Josh Allen has never been to a Super Bowl. Even in the playoffs. Like last year, man, that thing was sitting there for Josh Allen, and it didn't happen. I'm not putting that solely on Josh. Here's I guess, one thing that I am getting at. I think Josh Allen is most people's answer right now for best player in the league. But how much of that is because of fantasy football?
Like, you want a percentage? Was that an actual question? Or?
I mean, you can answer it however the hell you want.
Well, I think everything is about fantasy football and also draft position. So Brock Purdy doesn't get the love that he deserves because he was Mr. Irrelevant, and fantasy-wise, he's never really a top 10 quarterback. They don't throw for big yardage. They don't throw a lot of touchdowns. Their wide receivers don't catch a lot of passes. So if you're a fantasy football person and that's how you judge actual football, well, Brock Purdy falls short of that, and Josh Allen doesn't, because every time you get inside the 5-yard line, he's going to score you a rushing touchdown.
Right, which is great. But again, there's something that's something missing there as far as the revolution of his play, like falling over into the cup. For a lot of people, they feel the same way about Shanahan. It's the everything but sort of a thing, right? Like he's done everything, but he hasn't won the ring. Josh Allen is he's joy on a TV. He is a red zone monster. He wins you your league, but he doesn't win his league. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I do think there's an inflation sensation, if you will, if that's even allowed for the guy who I just said. I think he's the best player in the league. But what's fascinating is if you wanted to dive into the metrics, people are like, oh, Brock Purdy, you just toss the ball out to McCaffrey. Right. And McCaffrey just heads down the field and he gets all the stats. Well, Brock Purdy is always one of the leaders in air yards, and Josh Allen is always one of the last. He actually is the one throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, not Brock Purdy. And he runs more. His passing yards are not... It's not Marino-esque. It's not Breeze-esque.
No, but Brock Purdy, you could argue, has had better targets than Josh Allen has had throughout the majority of his career.
I'll buy that. I mean,
Josh Allen tends to throw to a bunch of guys who are number 3 receivers.
That goes year to year. I mean, he's had Stephon Diggs the last few, or had Stephon Diggs when Diggs was a true one. He had him. He's got DJ Moore this year. He's on the Bills now.
Right, and we'll see what that actually portends to. But to your point, last year he threw for 3,668 yards. He played in all the games. Didn't even get to 4,000 yards. He averaged 216 a game. Yeah. That's not a guy who's out there lighting you up for 275 or 300.
Right.
But they're efficient, and they win. And you look at his win total, and it's 10, 13, 11, 13, 11, 13, 11, 13, 12.
He's a wonderful player.
All they do is win games, but then in the playoffs, the way they go about it does not always lead to them winning games.
There you go, which for most athletes in most sports, that becomes a huge talking point. I don't think Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are all that different. I think their offenses are really good. I think they win almost all the time. I think they're wonderful fantasy football players, and something goes wrong in the playoffs. But it gets hung around Lamar, but not Josh. Lamar's the one who can't win in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, Josh wins in the playoffs. I don't know what Lamar's record is, but looking at Josh, he's 8-7, and they make the playoffs almost every year.
Of course.
And so
he's great.
I mean, he's been 7 times, and they're 8-7, which means 7 times you've been there and you've lost before you actually won the Super Bowl, and they haven't even been to a Super Bowl.
Let's go out to Phil Mo Mike. Phil Mo, thank you for the call. What's going on?
Nothing. Y'all got a great topic. I think, and then shout out to Kuko. You know, he a legend. But this sprung my ears because I mean my theory is I think 2 heads is better than 1, but it depends on and Biz has a very great point. The coordinator really matters because in some coaches, like Brady and Belichick was more of a Tom Brady. If you tripped on how he played like a West Coast like a new version of a West Coast offense, and that's what brings me to like Bill Walsh and George Seifert. If your coordinators are not like privy to the other side of the ball, you can have a Josh Allen, no matter how great he is, right? And Josh Allen and Sean McDermott situation. If you look at the Chiefs, for example, you got a whole czar on 2 sides of the ball. So you got a czar in Andy Reid, a czar in Spagnolia on 2 sides of the ball, and it kind of works. So it does depend on the situation. I would always take 2 offensive minds over the 1 because you got 1 looking from above. You got a macro and a micro to try to decipher what that defensive coordinator is doing. So it really matters. It kind of does matter on the psychology. I don't mean to get too in the woods, but it kind of does matter on the psychology of the head coach. If they're willing to be open to some new, like at Bill Parcells and Phil Simms. Bill Parcells was more of like a commander, leader, general. He had Bill Belichick on one side. I forgot who the offensive coordinator was. I think McBride. I think it was McBride. But he had SARS on those ends, and then he could kind of look from it from afar. So the question is great, but it's going to get complex.
Always. And Phil Mo, thanks. I mean, if I threw out to you, like, which is more believable to end up in the Super Bowl this year, Bills or Niners?
I would say Bills.
Okay.
More likely.
I mean,
they have a clearer path, I think. Like the Niners, if you look at them as the 3rd best team in the West and they might be 2nd, I don't think that you could think that they're first. You're allowed to. But,
no, I don't.
I mean, I think it's the Rams, and then it's, Seattle and the Niners kind of in that 2-3, the 3-2, and then Arizona, as you mentioned, they might be the worst team in football. I think Miami will be worse, but to that point, if you look at the Bills, you've got the Jets twice, which the Jets are not going to be a playoff team. I pray that they're better because my friend is on the staff.
I was going to say,
I don't want them to lose their job.
Why do you think the Dolphins are even going to be better than their other bad team in that division?
They're not going to be. The Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the AFC, if not football.
Okay.
That's my point about the Bills. Like the Bills, you're going to beat the Jets and the Dolphins twice apiece, and you probably split with New England, so you're 5-1 right there. I don't know who else they have as far as their schedule goes, but go ahead and give Buffalo 11 or 12 wins right now. That's what they do.
I take the under on 5 division wins for the Bills. Absolutely.
I mean,
pizza bet if you want.
I mean, yeah.
Donut bet if you want.
You're going to go under 5 out of 6.
You just said you're going to go 5-1, so I'm challenging the statement. I'll take the under.
The spread would not be at 5 or even 4.5.
Sure it would be.
I can find that for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will.
Okay.
I'm not laying those odds. That would be a stupid bet.
Then don't make the statement.
I can make the statement and not make the bet. It's a radio show. I'm paid to make statements and not bets. You get that, right?
I get that, but you also understand that when you make a statement, you should believe it.
I do believe it.
Okay, then believe it.
I believe it, but it doesn't mean I have to make a bet on everything I believe in.
Then you just say no thanks.
I just said that. I'm not making that bet.
No, you didn't really say no thanks.
I don't have to say no thanks, and I don't have to show you my manners. You didn't offer me something to eat.
You made a statement. I challenged it.
And I said no. I'm not taking that bet.
Oh.
It was simple.
Calm yourself down.
And direct.
All right.
Don't tell me to calm myself down. I'm calm.
Calm down.